Hey everyone, so Rune Factory 5 came out today in the US of A, and it's certainly a game. I've put a good 5 hours-ish into this game, and I think that's a pretty good chunk so far to give you a first impression. So let's start with the things that make me sound like a broken record if you kept up with the discussion of this game. If you haven't, then hopefully this is brand new stuff for you. So the game's performance is the main issue. It's pretty rough. I'd say the game is dropping frames pretty consistently. So far I've accounted for every time you go out a door, in almost every combat situation except the first boss that I fought, and every time I fast traveled barring one time, there were frame drops. These aren't run-of-the-mill random situations either, you do this almost all the time in the game, and it's not like the frame drops aren't noticeable, they are incredibly noticeable, and there's almost no way to change that. You can enable dynamic resolution, but that's already enabled from the start, so this is the best performance you're getting. I can't really tell what the thought process was behind the development of this game. For the most part, the presentation kind of feels like it's all over the place. As of right now, sometimes voice lines are at the right volume, and sometimes they're just too low. They're not inaudible, but they're difficult to hear underneath the music, and it's hard to adjust when the volume is constantly shifting for every character that talks. There also seems to be some kind of selective voice acting, where in a single conversation lines go from full voiced to just generic grunts, to full voiced again.
Don't mind her. Nisa can be a little dramatic, but she means every word. Kumo!
It's jarring, especially considering that in recent times, most JRPGs will have full conversations that are voiced, and any conversation that is not voiced will remain not voiced throughout the entire thing. I feel like I've been dumping on the game the whole time, but I've also been having fun with it. I'm not compelled to feel like this game is amazing, and I don't need to say twice that I think it's rough around the edges. At the same time, I'm having a lot of fun playing it. The game feels like Rune Factory, which for those of you who don't know is essentially a cross of Stardew Valley and a dungeon crawling action JRPG, where combat is not incredibly deep, but it's addicting, and the farming mechanics are a lot of fun as well. There are a lot of upgrades from older Rune Factory games, albeit I haven't played a lot of the more recent ones. The game I spent the most time on was Rune Factory Frontier. I don't really think this game does anything perfectly. So far it hasn't really wowed me in any way, but it's fun if your expectations are tempered. The roughest part is that I really wanted this game to be good, but I can't sell you guys wrong in the case. It's not a game I currently feel like is fully worth the $60 price tag, and that's because it runs very poorly at this current time. I want this to be the best it can be, but it really lacks the polish, not to mention any kind of visuals. This game looks like a PS3 era game, which isn't terrible, but it's not great either. I've been less critical of games that look just as bad, but it feels like this stands out more due to the recent execution of anime art styles in other Switch titles. Anyways, if I had to give a first impressions verdict, it's a rough one. There's a lot here that could grow on me as time goes on. I feel like overall I'm pretty happy with the gameplay loop. I feel like I'm enjoying the combat and the farming and all the gameplay elements, but the performance could use some work, and the story hopefully gets better later on, but we'll have to see. Even if you think the performance might get better, remember this game is already a year old in Japan and it still performs like this. They could very well patch it with a performance update in the future, but for now the game is gonna look pretty choppy overall. So thanks for watching guys, and I hope this video helped you decide on whether you want to pick up Rune Factory 5 now or wait for a sale or whatever it may be. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments, and if you are playing the game, let me know your thoughts on the game so far. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, and subscribe if you want to see my full review of Rune Factory 5 when it goes live next week. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys next week.